Alex, these are the head guys, Nicholas and Tom, with Flare Energy.
What are y'all doing today?
No, wonderful. It's nice to meet you. Thank you, Honorable Kent Holton, to the county commissioners for having us in this afternoon. We brought you a copy of our team, where the land is, and everybody that's on our roster, our contact
come
list.
and do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
It'll let you back.
Yeah, approval to approach. Start with the, Honorable Judge Holton, thank you very much. We brought one for each one of you. So, we'll just start out, we're small town farm kids. My name is Nick Bear, I was raised a dairyman. I live in a town of 42 people, so Sylvester's just about home for me. It feels really nice. To get here, we started at about 4 yesterday morning, drove out of Plush, Oregon, caught a plane out of Reno, and then got to come into your lightning show last night. That was pretty phenomenal. And congratulations on the rain, that was much needed. I wish it would have come along in the winter wheat time, and hopefully everybody got a little bit of water before that. A couple weeks ago, I know was stress time for your fields, so glad you got a little bit of rain. We've been developing this project for about 2.5 years, and we've built 1.3 billion standard cubic feet per day of hydrogen in our lifetimes. Among our top 3 executives, me being one of them. We worked at Sage Stone Hill and Technip Energies, or better known as Technip Stone and Webster. And it's the center of excellence for hydrogen projects in the world, so hydrogen for us is not new. We brought the leading edge companies with us as a sole source open book lump sum, and that's ABB Chart Industries, who's the leader in cryogenics, and as well as we own our own transportation company called Coast to Coast Trucking. And we have a good partnership of alliance partners that have built these projects around the world and have come together here to be successful. We've also teamed with Midstream. We've got a great relationship with Midstream, and we're gonna be supporting them and providing them some electricity. They're gonna be providing us some natural gas. So we found a lot of synergies between what we're doing and what they're doing. Con's gonna tell you a little bit about how we constructed this project financially, but I did give to Becky our Atlas group. We've done a lot of review. We heard your concerns about the tax abatements and what that could look like and how that affects counties. So the Atlas group, on the 10% tax abatement that we're talking about here today, they are working with 100 projects in and near you. They're not in this county, we checked that. Pretty hard to say if they were in or not, but they are not here. But they do have 100 projects that they're working on. So they've worked with a lot of counties in and near you in Texas, so we can help devise a good program that will be successful for you. And Con's gonna explain to you about the way we work our pro formas and why we're here to work with you and not against you. So Con.
I think it starts just from that in terms of the due diligence on the projects that we'll look at. We looked at probably 65 or 70 different projects or portfolios of projects across the country, and really looking down at the resource from kind of a solar or wind, just power mix resource, as well as the ability to transport kind of hydrogen in this case to end users. And the biggest filter that knocks out projects for us is we don't include any tax credits or any subsidies to make the numbers work. And for a lot of projects, that's kind of the hurdle that you can't pass. So from this basis, our kind of moving these forward are on just its pure economics, and then the approach from Nicholas talked about the partners that we brought in on the equipment side, on the engineering side. We do the same approach from a finance side in terms of a very open, transparent way of working, to where it's a collaborative saying, here's exactly kind of what the project, what the numbers look like, how do we make this a win-win for a group that we intend to be with our projects for the life of the project. That's another aspect from the company that we put together, is to be developer, owner, operators, not developers and then sell it and leave. Our goal is to be a long time owner of any of the projects that we bring forward. So I'm happy to kind of get into any of the more detailed questions, but from that basis would be, kind of operating transparently and collaboratively, and not starting from a base that uses any of kind of the incentives or tax credits that might be available, local, state, or federal.
IRA included, we were well in front of the IRA in this project. The only reason we hadn't been in here earlier to see you is that we kept our powder dry. We didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver to you. We did release front-end engineering and design today to Worley. That will be in the World paper. So we'll get you a copy of that. It should be out all over the country today. Pretty exciting to release a world-class front-end EPC as Worley. We have a lot of experience with them and Shell and building some projects of high impact that are difficult. So we brought that same team from Shell gas to liquid to this project. So they have a lot of experience in handling these types of projects and challenges. I think the biggest incentive here is your landowners. They are absolutely amazing, as you can see. They've shown up today, the Douglases and Marie Henry, and you know, it's an incredible opportunity. Randy's heading on managing our water resources, being farm kids. We recognize how important it is to rotate the wells and rotate water, promote ranching on the grounds. We put the money in to remove all the equipment at the end of 25 years to put it back to how it is for farming. We want everybody to farm while we're on it. We want to keep your fabric of your community, the fabric of your community, and add to it. So we're really looking forward to working with you, and thank you. We're here for any questions, and we're available to this body anytime, any day.
So y'all plan on putting up the solar panels?
We do. Yeah, we plan on putting in about 500 megawatts overall of solar and 500 megawatts of wind. And this is a 1 gigawatt hydrogen facility. So we utilize natural gas, we'll have oxygen, we'll have hydrogen, and then we'll maybe have CO2. They use those for carbon beverages, but we're working with Chart Industries to see if there's a good market for that. It seems like the wine growers here need carbon for their CO2 for their winemaking process, so we're trying to find a good local market. We believe in as much local as possible. You're gonna see that from us. We run our own transportation. We are involved in our projects for 25 years. That's part of the management team, our oversight. We don't hand that off to a private equity firm to bleed out like a Norfolk Southern, excuse me, I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but we take it pretty seriously about the projects that we build. And so wind, solar, natural gas, and we use water to make hydrogen, and it will come back as purified water. So what happens is you take it, you pull oxygen and hydrogen apart, and hydrogen, when it's in a liquid, it creates like an electric vehicle. It creates a spark when it needs oxygen, and that drives your drivetrain. So where Elon Musk has these batteries, a hydrogen battery looks and does the same thing, but it doesn't use cobalt. It uses just pure water. And you can walk around behind the tailpipe and you could get a cup and you can drink the water coming out of the back end. It's just purified water when it comes out. So it's for us, it's the alma mater of being able to do energy is utilizing water, cleaning water, and putting it back in the atmosphere. So it's a good incentive for us to keep it clean and do it the right way, but we don't like to use tax credits or things of that nature if the project can't stand alone. It's not worth doing, because the government giveth and the government taketh, and you've got to allow free enterprise to laissez-faire to handle the economics so that you'll have a successful project with good jobs for long term. This project provides a lot of jobs. Just in trucking alone is 90 jobs on the project. And that doesn't include all of the maintenance, the oversight, the midstream partner jobs, the solar field jobs, the 300 construction jobs. This is a four-phase, four-year project. So it's roughly, Tom, what would you like to estimate as a total installed cost over 4 years?
In the $2.5 billion range, I'd say kind of conservatively, and those jobs would be kind of on a per phase basis, the construction period, and these numbers will be fine-tuned with the Worley front-end engineering and design process over the next several months. But kind of during construction period, looking at that approximately 300 jobs, that'd be each phase. So it kind of that as phase 1 rolls into 2, 3, and 4, would maintain that level, and then ongoing, kind of as again a conservative estimate would be 15 to 20 jobs just directly full-time on site, and then the trucking for moving the product afterwards. And again, those would be on a per phase basis as well.
With your unemployment being at about 15%, your median age and close to retirement, you know, we're looking to at least add 80 good positive jobs for the 4 years here that would put a nice dent in that 15%, especially in your age group. So we're really looking forward to working with you and how that can look. Good jobs, a craft job, you know, get people working with their hands, doing something. We don't care if they're sweeping the road, they could be doing mechanical, learning a trade. Not a back to work program where we get an incentive from the government and then those go away and the jobs go away. We want good paying jobs for long term. And so we're here to help develop that. And we do a local. You're gonna see a few things in the paper recently about our company, if you look it up. We joint ventured with Philadelphia Solar. We're the first tier 1 solar manufacturer to onshore back to the United States. And we are building a 1.2 gigawatt facility in Houston to support this project. When we say we're local, we mean it. We're just ground up. We bring it back home as much as possible, because jobs matter. And that's why
Same with
we're
the steel that would go into that, be looking at a group does that right outside of Houston. A lot of the hydrogen equipment, liquefaction, transportation, all of that equipment will be made in the US for this project as well.
16 manufacturing facilities are going to work called Chart Industries. We've released over $400 million in purchase orders to date for this project. It's the procurement lines are very difficult, and the amount of people that you can be confident in is short. So we brought in the world leaders and got in line early so that we can have the right equipment with the right partners to build this project and make it successful. We have a July 2025 offtake with major OEM, one of the largest OEMs in the world. We're doing transportation fuel for liquid hydrogen for Class A trucks. And we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Port of Corpus, and we are moving that forward to ship out of their docks. So that's been approved. Offline, I'll tell you about the docks, but they're their security docks, if that makes sense. So there's some military operation opportunities with us that we're discussing now between the 4 branches of the Department of Defense and at the Undersecretary's office. So we're reliable, and we're working with a big country. Looking forward to working with you all, and we'll stop talking.
What about maintenance on our county roads? They're in my precinct, they won't hold up to that kind of stuff you're talking about.
And we'll do a road study, and we'll work with you hand in hand to make sure that our truck traffic and what we're affecting to the road, no problem. You wanna go in and chip it, you know, we'll make the right decisions with you.
You gonna chip seal my roads out?
Absolutely. Anywhere our trucks are gonna run, we're gonna chip seal it.
I get that in writing?
You can record it here.
You're already recording.
Okay. Now, we've looked at the farm, you know, we call them farm to table roads, but I think they've got a little different acronym here. Truck to farm roads, I think you call them. But
Farm to market.
Farm to market, so.
That don't, those are the state.
Those are the state roads, and then.
Anything with pavement is gonna be the state. We can't.
And yours is the rocked road. We can
Yeah,
chip
but we want
seal.
it paved too.
Yeah. Well, now you want the golden bricks to lay out. Like Bob said, financially, we'll show you the books, but, we try to be as, we don't try to be, we're open book. I mean, we show you what our returns are gonna be and how and where we can incentivize that. It's like with your 10% tax abatement. How's that gonna help you? You know, we wanna find a way to be successful together. So we didn't pick this site to get 10% taxes. It's not even in our pro forma. You know, we know that that's a major concern. That's why we brought the Atlas Group and had them put together their proposal, and I've given it to Becky. We'll work with them, and if that doesn't seem like the right fit for you, you're not getting what you need, then we'll swap that out and move to a different group.
Any other questions?
We had planned to do a limited notice to proceed on construction. We were gonna, do some power work, and Randy, I don't know if you wanna, Kyle Metters is our representative on site, but he's just recently moved from New Mexico. Kyle and I worked at CH2 and Hill together. We're chemists, water chemists. He's a water specialist and a project manager for us, so he'll be doing the facilities management. Randy's representing the water side of the house and represents us with all the landowners and is the point of contact. So I don't know if you wanna introduce yourselves and.
Yeah, Kyle Metters, moved here from New Mexico, moved about 2 months ago, so with a 5-year-old and my wife, it's a new adventure, I'm really looking forward to it. but, I've been out here meeting with the landowners and touring around. It's been really nice. This project is complicated, but at the same time, there's a lot of simplicities to it when we look at it. When you really think, it's just a lot of things put together in one package. Solar's been around for years, things like that to consider, sorry. You were asking about the temporary power easement. We are going to put a temporary power easement up. That is probably the first work package we need to do, and we also need to start laying a water line from one of our wells we require. So that'll be first early works that we wanna get going on and are limited notice to proceed. Sorry.
Anything further, Randy?
Huh.
Do you have anything to add to that, Randy?
No, everybody probably knows me.
All right, good.
I was gonna suggest you don't get up and introduce yourself.
I don't know whom you'd like to make the point of contact, but, for us, that, the information's on there. If you send an email, if there's anybody in that contact list you want it to be directed to, that's great. Or you can just send an email to the back page, and that's our Clear Fork team. It goes to the full team, it goes to, we have an internal website that goes out to all of our equipment manufacturers. It goes to our EPCs and anybody involved in our project, and it lists it. You can see it on our site, it lists the RFI internally for us. We track it, and we make sure it gets back to you. We have a chief information officer that we stole from Apple. So we have quite a design system because we're working to try to be the national security provider for hydrogen. Then we have a very robust system in how we handle our ITS and security. We're pretty serious about running our projects correctly. Being farm kids, you can't rely on other people to see something through. And so that's how we do. We make sure that we have oversight in everything from soup, we call it soup to nuts, cradle to grave. Make sure that we're involved in every aspect and managing it. So you've got one point of responsibility, that's us. And if you're upset or challenged or you need help, then it's our responsibility, mine and Colin's, to ensure that that gets done for you. Any aspect of the project stops right here.
Do you have a start date?
We do, we have a start date of limited notice to proceed once we can get that. And we will head into full construction before the end of the year. We have a senior debt close with permanent equity. I believe Colin is the 24th of November.
Yeah, during the end of November, that would be into kind of the full financial close. Between now and then would be smaller packages, in kind of initial engineering, initial procurement, payments for a lot of the equipment. That moves into completion of our front-end engineering and design around Labor Day timeframe, and that sets the final kind of price with the CapEx for the total installed cost of the facility. And that moves right into a November timeframe from the full financial package, debt and equity, and kicks off in earnest, kind of full notice to proceed with, kind of scheduled to be defined in the engineering side, but kind of that 12 to 18 month on a schedule from a construction basis till you are beginning to produce and ship your hydrogen.
July 2025 is our finish date, and we're in procurement now, as you said, for over 400 million, so we'll make the date. All of our long lead procurement items are on order, in order to achieve those dates. And Tyler Boswell is head of health and safety for us. He comes from the military. He's also a CH2 and Hill Jacobs guy. We built a lot of projects together. He's got a lot of experience in this field and he'll work with your local fire department to find out where are our services in, what would it look like to get in help from your services, do we keep our own fire department team, et cetera, et cetera. So we plan to work through each one of those steps with you individually to make sure that we're achieving what's required in the community. And golden paper. Chip sealed anyway.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Item number 12, discuss and approve interlocal corporation contract. Mrs. Thompson.
Yes, this is just the renewal of my contract with, Texas Department of Health Services for our TexSaver program, which is where we get birth certificates from and do death certificates out of. And they don't charge us anything for it, it's just saying that I will abide by their rules. We do criminal background check, actually fingerprinting now, fingerprinting on all my employees, and myself actually, to be able to use their program. And it's good this will make it for 4 years.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second. All in favor? Unanimous, motion carries. Item number 13, discuss and approve new water lines for the senior citizens. Anybody aware of what's going on there?
Not really, I don't understand why they're wanting to move the water line.
Well,
I don't think they're going that far over.
they came to my office, that's the reason I was asking. Since we're building the new clinic, those water lines are old and they've been fixed, and they're scared they're gonna seep under the new facility. So they got an estimated cost there, while the people are there, I think. Joy, she's still here. Do we have to dig the lines, did they say?
We have what?
Do we have to dig the lines, or are they gonna dig those for us?
They're asking if they can get some help as far as digging the lines, because the construction company that's out there doing the, new addition would cost a ton to ask them to dig all that. So they're asking for help in, getting the lines done, whether it's physical help or whatever.
Gordon, are you saying they're moving it too far, is that what?
Well, just according to this, the water meter, I just have to go look at it, but
Well, now they got a lot of power lines, underground power cables coming from that corner right there where that road was showing, I don't think maybe they're going around that.
I don't know for sure, but it looks to me like it needs to be rerouted because best I remember, the water line comes in the front, right there by the bathrooms. Cause when we redid all the bathrooms, seemed like we redid something out there. Yeah, that's where they got it marked as coming in right there, I'm looking at the map wrong.
They're showing it on the,
But the water meter,
northeast.
water meter's way over here in front of the hospital now.
You got to come down that state right away and pass that little road, we can turn in there and come down, sort of like they're saying, I think that bypass all that stuff there.
They had a dig test done to see what lays within there.
I'm sure they have, but
Yeah, I think so.
not specifically for that project there. Which probably we would
It's not a
have.
have-to-do deal, they were just wanting that done, because they said, I guess, Gordon, you worked on that.
It's gonna be underneath what they're putting in is what they're
Well,
saying.
yeah, they didn't want the leakage coming, so. Whatever you guys wanna do.
Is that all they're asking for, is this $300 here, or is that what it's showing?
They
us?
said it's 500 foot, and going that far, you need at least use a 1 inch. They're showing us seamless, which is either poly or PEX. They're not showing any labor, they're just showing what the material would cost. So you can't go off a price on this, what they would charge.
Do you have any idea of estimated cost?
Guess we need to table it till we get a little more information on it.
Well, without going out there and looking at it, you know, cause if you got that line that runs down the state highway and it goes across that one road, you could just tie onto it on that side, which would stop it from going under the new construction.
Yeah, as long as the
But
pipeline's
this
good
may be the
condition.
line they're wanting laid, is where they got it drawn up, see, I don't know what they've done. And I don't even know where the other line goes. So I'm assuming it probably goes across back toward the hospital and underneath all their stuff to that meter that they're showing, the meters. They're just showing the relocation line of it going around all that. We'd have to mark it and call dig test and see how much, what do you gotta have to cross phone lines, electric lines, whatever's out there, I don't have no idea what's out there.
Make a motion to table it till we get more information to see what we actually need to do on it and what the true cost is gonna be.
Have a motion, do I have a second? All in favor? Unanimous, Pat, motion
You know who
carried.
to talk to on this out there?
We're sitting here. This is gonna be our responsibilities.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it, but if we don't do it, then you got a leak on that building, you're never gonna fix it. guess, what's the lady's name at the hospital?
Leanne Martinez,
She's the one that requested this, right?
Yes.
yes,
So that's who we need to talk to.
yes.
Right, item number 14, discussion only, low income needs, Ms. Denson. Finally get to you.
I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about some of the needs for the local community that I've observed in at the housing authority in the last 10 years that we have not been able to address because we were not able to spend housing dollars from the government on these needs and services that really we feel that the community and probably the whole county needs. And after listening to these gentlemen talk about the solar farm and all the jobs they're gonna create, the few workers they're gonna have here, probably gonna need them. One of them is a laundry facility. Now, I know I grew up here, we always had a laundromat in Rotan, but now there's no laundry facility that I'm aware of anywhere in Fisher County for people to do their laundry. There are a lot of low-income people that do not own washers and dryers, especially during COVID, that had a hard time finding a place to do their laundry, because everything was shut down. I do have a lot of low-income households that pay excess water charges every month in excess of $80 because they allow their family members to do laundry at their apartment, which is a lease violation, but you know, in a small community like this, you kinda have to look the other way on some things. They have to be able to do their laundry. So, we have a really good board. Clay McWilliams is our chairman, Buffy Sipe is our vice chairman, Nancy Sparks is on the board, and Michelle Martinez just came onto the board. We talked about this at our last meeting. We do have a lot that we would be willing to let construct a laundry facility on. We would be willing to purchase and feel like we could, the washers and the dryers to go in a facility like that. The housing authority could maintain the facility. We feel like the income generated from the use of the machines would pay for the overhead costs, so it wouldn't be a budget constraint for the county to, you know, pay for the upkeep on the building. We have maintenance that can take care of any repairs or anything like that. But what we're gonna need is a building. We don't need a large building, it could be a portable building. We're not picky about the building. We felt like maybe starting off with 6 washers, 6 dryers, and have the type that do not have cash in them, so nobody's gonna tear up the machine, trying to rob the machine. We could put security cameras on it at all times to make sure that it doesn't get, you know, vandalized. But we felt like if we're getting to a point, we might need to partner with the county or something to get some of these services done. Because the housing authority is in the process of repositioning to a different funding platform. What's gonna happen is we're gonna go from public housing to project-based Section 8 vouchers. Those vouchers will be administered by the Baird Housing Authority. HUD will, in this process, they're going to deed all the housing authority property over to the housing authority. We will become a private landlord once we get all of this finalized. That will generate almost double the income to the housing authority from what we're getting through the public housing program. So as a private landlord, we're not really clear yet on the rules on how we're gonna have to handle our funds, but there should be additional funds we may be able to help if we partnered with the county to provide some of these services that the citizens need that we haven't been able to provide. If we do it with HUD money, only our tenants can use it. If we partner with the county and do something like this with private funds, then the whole county can use it. And that's kind of our objective. We could go ahead and do something and convert a dwelling unit into a laundromat, but only our tenants would be able to use it. You're gonna have workers coming into the county, they're gonna need a place to wash their clothes. Cause they're not, you know, probably gonna be staying in travel trailers or whatever. So this could really benefit what the other things you have going on in the county. The second problem that we've had is we cannot stay 100% occupied because there's no services in the county for people coming in here. We've had a lot of people apply for housing, but they don't have a vehicle. They're low income people. There's no public transportation of any kind. Double Mountain Coach is really good about taking people to the doctor out of town and stuff like that. But I see people go to the Thriftway and carry their groceries home in the rain, or walking in the snow to go to the grocery store. You got a lot of disabled and elderly people, they can't do that. So they have to rely on Good Samaritans to do that, you know, give a ride to the clinic, to the hospital, to the pharmacy. because they don't have transportation. So, at one point, we tried to buy a handicap accessible van from the hospital, had one, but we couldn't use housing dollars for that, so they wouldn't let us purchase that. We've also thought about maybe running the dispatcher for public transportation out of the housing authority office. We might could provide a place, staff to, set up appointments to go pick people up. We wanna think outside the box, to work with the county or the city to do whatever we can to get the services to the citizens that they need. So that's kind of why we're here today, is just kind of talk about some things that we've observed that the citizens really need, and see what can be done to work with you to try to provide those services to the county. And I'm gonna be retiring at the end of June. The board has hired Tina Smith from Mass Vermont. She is the executive director. She's been the executive director there for 4 years. She's taken over my position. She's already done a laundry facility at her housing authority, because during COVID, her tenants had no place to do laundry if they didn't have a washer or dryer. So she went ahead and converted a dwelling unit to a laundry facility. So she knows how to get this done, is the point I'm trying to make. She knows the ins and outs on setting up a laundry facility, if that's something the county would like to partner with us. If you don't wanna do that, we'll go ahead and convert a dwelling unit, because our tenants need that. But it's sad it would not be accessible to the rest of the community, because there's definitely a need for that. People are having to go to Hamlin and Sweetwater to do their laundry, because there's not a laundromat here. So anyway, if y'all have any questions, you wanna ask Tina anything about setting up a facility,
Have y'all looked into, pricing on the building or anything like that for what you're talking about?
I have not, have you?
Actually, I feel like if this is something that the county was interested in pursuing with us, that most likely we would need to have some sort of collaboration with a group or an individual, to really nail down exactly the opportunity that we want to present. Because as you're all aware, there are so many different, buildings, the structures. Are we gonna do a temporary building? I mean, there are just a multitude of obstacles that we could have in not pursuing the right avenue for this. And unfortunately, because I've just stepped in, I'm a little bit out of my element on your needs in this area. So I feel like collaborating with someone within the county would be beneficial moving forward. I would ask, has there been previously a critical needs assessment performed within the county on COVID measures? Because that's where we initially were looking at, and if I understand correctly, this is where you're funding, this is the funding that you have for that, is
We've
funding
done
that
it
you
prior
receive.
to me coming.
Okay, okay, so you
It's
kind
the
of have
ARPA
to.
funding.
It is, okay.
Yes, it's the ARPA, and that's what it stems from.
Right,
is the code.
right. So, I mean, really, I don't know how much different Stonewall County and Fisher County are, but I can tell you that, our needs within our communities on our low income, disabled and elderly tenants must be pretty similar. You just have a few more folks in, Rotan, and then, Rhodey would also be able to, perform, within that, with us, I mean, there's so many opportunities to do that, but it's really something that, without getting a definitive from the county on some sort of, at least an opportunity to have further discussions, we won't be able to look in that area. We would like to be able to provide this service for everyone, not just our tenants, because it is a need, in my opinion, just coming into the area.
Where you think about putting it, cause I know there's some of them
Well, we have a
apartments
lot
one
right
place
next to
and some
Allsup's.
another, up
Yeah.
here.
You know that lot right, to the south of Allsup's, right across Lee Street? That has been donated to the housing authority. So that is not federal land. We could do whatever we want to with that, and that'd be a perfect place to put it. It's right there on the main highway, where it's visible to everybody, and maybe put the parking on Lee Street so that they're not backing out on the main highway. That would be a really good location for it.
Are you talking about between Allsup's and Circle C?
No, no,
No.
back to the south,
So,
right there on the corner.
By Landy's house. Or,
Yes.
yeah, used to be Landy's.
Yeah, there used to be a house sitting there when I was growing up.
The
There was a
city
house
parks
there.
their stuff there all the time.
Yeah, yeah, but that was donated to the housing authority, so that would be a perfect location for
Is this
us.
housing authority in Roby the same as Rotate?
No,
Different?
yeah, they have a different executive director, different board, everything's different. And they're, as far as I know, they're not converting from public housing to section 8. Yeah,
I think it's something we need to look into and just see what it's gonna cost. I believe a portable building, you can have one built already plumbed
right,
and just set, and
right,
it'd
right.
be a whole lot easier.
And there should be already a sewer tap and everything there, because there was a house there
Right.
before, and the city might be willing to tie those lines in, free of charge, I just feel like if we're working together, we all have a different team, we can provide a lot of that labor and stuff ourselves,
Mary, you bring this up because you're fixing to retire, is that what?
Well, I've been talking to you about it for years, and I didn't get no help there, so. Bring it here.
Why
Yeah,
don't we
this-
table this and let's see if we can get some numbers together.
Discussion on it.
Yeah, well, okay, well, we'll put it back on next month and we can figure out what it would cost to put a portable building in, would be probably easier than anything.
I
How
agree,
big a building you want?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Got an idea on how big a building?
So I can only go by what I did in my circumstance. It does not have to be a super wide building, we will need to make it handicap accessible. And then, a restroom as well would have to be accessible, but beyond that, we're not looking for frills, we're not looking for the Ritz. We just are looking for a facility for people to be able to, clean their clothes.
Yeah.
So, we can do a couple of different options on that. But really, if there's a suggestion that you might have on something, I'm happy to look at anything, any suggestion that you guys might have, to try to get this goal accomplished.
How many washers and dryers do you have in Ashland?
Well, so because it is only for the housing authority, and I have 34 units over there, I did 3 washers, 3 dryers. This was an old office, so in conjunction with that, I added a computer lab, if you will. It's one computer, but it makes it accessible for my tenants, because believe it or not, people don't always have internet accessibility or a computer. So we did 3 washers, 3 dryers. We have a station to fold and hang. Then along with that, we have, our restroom that is handicap accessible, as well as the computer lab. So it's not a big space. I dare say it would be half the size of this room. But it is.
That's pretty big.
Well, let me rephrase this section of the room. So, we're looking at, what, 30 by 40, as like all the way around, because we do have some additional space in the back for maintenance items. So it can be done in a relatively small, building, but you just wanna make sure that everyone has decent access back and forth.
Y'all talk to the
Throughout
city
it.
council over at Rotan yet?
Not yet, no.
No, we wanted
And
to
she
bring-
did have a really good idea on putting it more of a pier and beam than on a slab, because then if you have leaks, it's easier to get to those pipes to fix stuff if you're have the
We want
washers
the
up
easy
off the ground.
access.
You also
Easy
have a lot
access.
less damage on a cement than you're gonna have with wood.
That's right.
That is true, and we had discussed,
And if you plumb it
the cement.
like they do them nowadays, you should now have no plumbing problem under that slab.
It is, there are, again, many options to choose from, just, we would like to look at one that's the most viable for everyone involved, financially and otherwise.
You figure out a size first and then we go from there.
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, lady.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 15, approve abandoned highway 4 right of way. put on the record as given to the landowner. And it's serving as here.
You guys had a chance to look this map over?
Yeah, we got
Yes, sir. Okay. So the situation is, this portion of the road is still described in a couple of subdivisions that border this road, and therefore these landowners, they don't have anything in the records that ever quit claims this portion of the road from the county, so they cannot have their property line described to the center of the road, because it's still part of the public. Even though it's being utilized, the fence is right down the middle where it should be, and, if the subdivision was quit claimed, or that portion of the road is quit claimed, it would revert back to them anyway, to the center line. So, that's what I'm asking for, is to get this portion of the road quit claimed and closed in the record, so they can have their property described to the center line.
I'm gonna make a motion to close the road.
Motion second, all in favor? Motion carried. Item number 16, approval of interlocal corporation agreement for housing of Lubbock County inmates. Sheriff Ford.
Good news for once, maybe some possible money. Did you all get this, agreement in your email from you guys? The reimbursement, we were contacted last Monday about, Lubbock County possibly housing inmates here. The rate would be $50 per day per inmate, and, the only other information I need to add to that is, to compensate my deputies who have to guard prisoners, would be about, their overtime rate of $40. Those are very good rates, so that most likely, they were talking about, housing 10 inmates here. They're in the process of, remodeling some of their facilities, so it'll be a little period of time. The only, drawback for us is that 10 inmates, we have a capacity of 24, we're at 9 this morning. Robin wants to kill me because we're putting up, 19, 20 inmates. But it's a good possibility that we'll, and as soon as if you approve this, Kevin's gonna call and see if we can get food chairs if possible.
Where'd y'all come with the $50 a day?
Based on our other agreements, we've had 45, it's going up from 45 that we've had with other agencies so far. And still keeping us below what some of the others are demanding, because I wanna encourage some of these, like Lubbock, from time to time, they're paying 60, 65 some places. It's a farther travel for them, so I wanna encourage them to, look at us.
Now, with what we already have on hand, the 9 you said we have on hand, correct?
Yes, sir.
We're, capable of
22.
22? With the camera issue going on, what's this gonna do with them?
Doesn't affect the cameras, cause we have the cell space in the bunks that we have now. We've moved around inmates to where we can put them all in there. I need someone for trustees, and that's all covered by cameras right now, so that's not a particular issue. It's just a matter of encouraging, the bigger counties, cause taking 10 to them is nothing. So I really wanna encourage them to do that and stay in a relationship with it. We never had a relationship with them. We've always had with Tom Green, and a few others at the low rate of 45. We're up in it a little bit, but not prices out of the market, and looking at the distance and the cost.
What's our cost to housing?
I can't remember what the number I gave y'all before per day it was, but we'd make a little bit of money off of it, not much.
Were they 45s?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you had?
That's what we were charging before, but we're going up a little bit, because there's food costs have gone up.
Was
I
that,
think we need to know what it's costing us to have an inmate before we pop off the price of $50.
Yes, sir. At the same time, looking at what we charged before, look what other counties are charging between 60 and 65, I wanna encourage us to be in the market.
Think we have a jail over there, we need to have people in it.
I don't think $50 will cover what you're gonna have to house them and.
It does, it just, there's not a whole lot of profit in it. I'm not sure what the exact number is. If you're talking about feed and everything else.
I mean, you feed them and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't think it would work at 45. And everything's, man, go to the grocery store, it's doubled in price. So now you know why they're 60 and 65 at these other places.
But the difference in the cost of, basically, all it's costing us is feed. I mean, the feed them. I mean, I already have the staff there, have the water running, all that kind of stuff. It's not gonna be that much.
But the water bill's gonna go up.
Somewhat, yes, sir. I mean, those cells are already occupied. How much they use them is not gonna be that much. Will we make money off of it? Yeah. Will we make a whole lot of money off of it? No. I don't wanna price this out of the market because with the distance and the number of inmates we're taking is low. I want us to have a good contract with them that we never had before.
I'm gonna make the motion to approve it. You said 40?
For my inmates, for my deputies.
Yeah, always saying 30 on here.
I'm sorry, it is 30, you're right, I'm sorry, cause it's 20 plus, it's half, time and a half. That's what they make. We don't get stuck guarding them very long, they're gonna take them back to that day to UMC in Lubbock, basically, at least the time that they're out here at Fisher County Hospital being guarded.
Well, here's the other deal on the pickup, it's saying that they'll pay us for 1 day on pickup. So if they were to drop them off at lunch, say on Wednesday, they'll pay you for Wednesday, but if they don't pick them up till lunch or night on the following day, they're not gonna pay you for that day, so we're stuck with this. So we could potentially be feeding them for 2 days and only getting paid for a day.
Yes, sir.
So, I'd say no with the wording on the contract.
It's pretty standard across the board, it's only, they're only getting billed 1 day for that 24 hours.
But it doesn't specify within there what time they're gonna pick up, because if you're gonna specify in there, we can get into a line of, all right, like I just said. I mean, they could drop off at this time and not pick up till this time the next day, but they're already specifying that they're only gonna pay you for that 1 day if they pick them up on that second day.
Cause they have
So they
transport.
could sit there for a full day.
Yeah.
So we're still out that money for that second day, even though they're not gonna have to pay it.
Their deal is they have a transportation team, that's all they do. So them telling you that, hey, they'll be here at 9 o'clock is not really.
How often are they late though?
Not very,
But they are.
they are, yeah. Would it be a whole day? No. Would it be the next day that we have to have them make, yeah, it may be.
This contract, that's just for that price, that's not for so many days.
Per day.
Per day.
Per inmate per day, $50 per inmate per day. In other words, if we got 10, we'd be $500 a day.
We'll give it a try, second.
I want better wording in the contract. It leaves a lot of leeway on that, because that we could get stuck with the financial burden of it.
Kind of with Michael, $30 a day, you're already charging $50 a day, there's not much room. Anyway, Preston has made the motion